Hello again everyone, thanks for checking out my video. Welcome to my channel, Jersey Shore Pondscapes Videos. My name is Chris. I have a ton of videos on this channel all about koi ponds and waterfalls, water gardens, everything you can think of for backyard garden ponds. So please check out the videos if you're interested in building your own pond, or you have one and you have questions or want to learn more about it. Please check out the videos. I've got a ton of stuff here, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of information that can help you out. All right, so today's video, we are talking about the use of basically PVC pipes, how to plumb your pond, okay? A lot of smaller ponds, you know, really small stuff, we're not using PVC. A lot of it is rubber tubing, right? Small little pumps, you know, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch rubber hose comes off of it simply into a little filter out to a waterfall, something like that. I get it, okay? But all the ponds that I build, and a lot of larger, you know, high-end ponds, we're doing everything out of PVC. PVC just structurally is so much stronger, it's better, you know, than little rubber tubing. It's just more professional, okay? So we're gonna try to teach you here a little bit all about PVC and turn you into a plumber here, all right? So using PVC, okay, there's two different types of PVC pipes that we can use. One is a standard, you know, hard pipe like this. It's a rigid PVC that is really strong and durable. White pipes like this are what's considered Schedule 40. And then there's also gray pipes and gray fittings that are called Schedule 80. And it's a much more harder, more, you know, durable, stronger PVC pipe, although they are outrageously expensive and we don't need it. We can, you know, basically just go with standard Schedule 40 PVC. All right. Or we can use what's called a flex pipe. It's a PVC flex pipe. And it's something like this. Okay, this pipe comes on long rolls, coils. You can buy it by the foot. It is really great to use in the fact that it makes the job very simple. We don't need to add a lot of different elbows and couplings and everything. We can basically just go from a pump over here and twist it around and put it up to a waterfall over here, right? Real easy. Whereas a hard pipe, right, we got to come off the pump, elbow down, come over, elbow up, come over this way, go that way, right? It takes more fittings, more time, more cuts. It's nice and strong, right? But it's going to take a lot more time and require a lot more fittings. Where this is just a one-shot deal, you know, twist and turn it, bring it over wherever you need it to go, out of your pump, connect it up here, and boom, you're done, all right? This, however, you know, does cost at least 2 to 3 times more than the hard pipe does, all right? So while, you know, it is easier, it is a lot more expensive. However, it saves you a lot of time, and it saves you the cost of buying, you know, all kinds of like little fittings and couplings and stuff, right? I use this stuff a lot when I have close runs or I'm going up into waterfalls and all that. This stuff is great when you just need some really strong support and you know, long runs, okay? If my pump and filter system are here and my pond is over there, you know, I don't want to spend $150 on a section of flex pipe to go straight from here all the way over to there when I can just buy the rigid pipe and run my straight run, you know, for, you know, 1/3 of the cost. Okay, so definitely two different ways to approach it here. One little word of advice, a little tip here for you is that if you are using flex pipe, always use what's called pressure fittings. They're deeper sockets, okay, that will really slide. Since this pipe is capable of flexing and moving around, we want a nice deep socket to glue it into to make it stronger and more firm, okay? I use the pressure fittings all the time on everything, whether it's hard pipe or flex pipe. It's a stronger fitting, it's a deeper glue, a deeper socket. It's just a better way to go. So that's what I always do. All right. The other thing is with this flex pipe, in the summer when it's nice and hot out and it's really warm, the flex pipe is very pliable. It can be bent and twisted and go around in all different directions, you know, without any problem. In the winter time, when this stuff gets cold, it starts to lose a lot of its pliability, so it becomes a little difficult to work with. It's normally sold on a coil, like a big roll, right? 50 foot, 100 foot, but you can usually buy the foot. But if you buy that coil, sometimes in the winter, just unrolling it out of the coil is extremely difficult because it just doesn't bend and flex very easily. All right, so just something to keep in mind. The other advantage with the flex pipe is the fact that it is less restrictive on the water flow. All right, if I'm using hard pipe and I got to come off of my pump over here and I got to come over and I use a 90 degree to go up and then a 45 elbow this way and then another 90 back here and a 45 here, every turn, you know, elbow that the water's going through, it starts to put pressure back on the pump and you're getting less water flow. It's restricting the water flow. With this stuff, it's a straight shot. Boom, right? And your water can flow through it really nice and easily without any restrictions. So definitely, you know, advantages. So each kind of pipe, right, has its strengths and weaknesses. If I'm connecting small sections, like I come out of the pump and I have, you know, a 2-inch, 3-inch section and I'm putting an elbow and I have a, you know, 2 or 3 inches and I'm putting in a ball valve and then I'm 2 or 3 inches and I'm doing a Y, use hard pipe. It's all more solid and rigid, you know, especially with ball valves. If I put a ball valve on flex pipe, keep in mind, if you're turning that ball valve, you might be pulling that pipe around a little bit too, okay? Just that torque on the valve can push that flex pipe around. Rigid pipe, if it's all glued in solid, you turn that ball valve, nothing's moving. All right, so just something to think about. Okay. Just real important, remember pressure fittings, okay? Use pressure fittings all the time with the flex pipe. And whenever you can, as much as you can, even with hard pipe. All right, so let's talk about glue and primer, right? We've got 2 different types of glue here and a primer. So real quickly, the glue, okay, I use this heavy duty PVC glue, right? Because why not? And you got regular duty and you've got heavy duty. Why not use heavy duty? All right, it's a lot stronger. It's going to be much, you know, last longer. It's going to be a better product. So I use that. Sometimes I also use this blue one. This is what's called rain or shine. Okay, it's actually a blue cement. This one is clear. The nice thing with this is you can use this if the pipe is a little wet, right? If it's raining, all right? You got a little moisture on the pipe, or you need it to set really quick and, you know, you're gonna turn the pump back on or something. Sometimes this is handy. Now, primer, all right? Primer is really important. Without the primer, the glue is not gonna be as strong. All right. Now, what the primer actually does is it actually dissolves the outer layer coating of the PVC pipe. All right. So it allows the glue to have the PVC bond better with the PVC. Okay. So primer is very important. All right. Now this stuff, it's pretty nasty if you get it on you. It stains. It's a purple, very like watery consistency. So just be really careful, you know, when you open this up and you're putting it on the pipes, that, you know, you're not drenching the whole pipe with it and it's running all over the place, you know. just put enough on there that it colors it up. You will start to see some of the lettering on the pipes dissolve and disappear. And you know, once you put that glue on it, it's really nice. What this also does is it also kind of has like a little like, I want to say almost like an alcohol kind of function to it. If the pipe is a little damp, all right, I usually try to clean the pipe off and wipe it so it's dry. But if there is a little moisture on the pipe, when you put this PVC primer on it, it will dry it up. Okay, it helps to kind of dry it up. So once you put the primer on and it's kind of dried, it only takes a couple seconds, then you can apply your glue and put it in. Now, stick around the end of this video. I have some really good tips about applying primer, okay, at a certain depth, I want to say, like on the pipe, and yeah, some really helpful tips, so just stick around with that. All right, so all right, let's move on quickly to fittings. All right, we have different kinds of fittings, right? We have 90-degree elbows, we have 45-degree elbows. Some different sizes, we can get a 22-degree elbow and a 60-degree elbow. All right, keep in mind, the more 90s you use, the more your water is going to be restricted, right? Because it's got to come in, it's got to hit this, and it's got to go up, and it's got to go that way, and it's got to go that way, right? Where 45s, right, are a little less restrictive, okay? So when we can use 45s more often, it's better than 90s. Also, we have couplings, all right? There's two different types of couplings you can buy. There's a standard coupling like this, and inside this coupling there is a ridge halfway through the coupling. There's just a little ridge, and basically what it is that when you slide a pipe in here, it slides in halfway, hits that ridge, and stops. So when you slide one in on this side, it goes halfway in the coupling and stops, okay? So you have an equal amount of fitting here to glue into. All right, now there are what's called repair couplings, and repair couplings do not have that ridge in the middle. So if you have a section of pipe, okay, that say it's got a crack in it, and you have to cut out that section, and it's in the ground, all right, you have no way to insert a coupling on this side, a coupling on that side, and then get a pipe in between there to fit in. We can't do it. We can't move either end. All right, so what we basically need to do is we need to put a coupling on, say this is one piece of pipe that's in the ground here. I cut it here, and I have another piece here. A repair coupling with no groove in the middle can be glued, quickly pushed all the way on the pipe like this, then set the new pipe in its place, and then you can slide it halfway back. Okay, it has to be done quickly before the glue sets, okay, but it allows you to slide it all the way on and then slide it halfway back in to make it repair. All right, there's also another thing, and of course I don't have it. I have a picture of it here though. It's called a Fernco, and it's basically a rubber coupling with clamps on either end, and that too can act as a repair coupling where you can slide it up, right? Put your pipe in place, slide it back over, and tighten down the clamps on each side and make your coupling. All right. As far as some other specialty fittings, okay, there are normal 45-degree elbows, normal 90-degree elbows, and then there are what we call street elbows. Street elbows basically have the coupling, the socket on one end, and the other end is a slip, okay? So the other end will slip into another fitting. Okay, so we don't need to add, have like on this side, right, I have to put a piece of pipe in here and then a piece of pipe here and glue it together. I don't need that piece of pipe in between. This one will glue right into the other. Okay, so those are street elbows. We also have males and females. Okay, a female fitting is basically with threads on the inside that something will screw into. Okay, the male fitting has the threads on the outside, so the male fitting, you know, can be screwed into the female. Okay, just like this. All right, just some PVC terms for you. Now let's talk one other thing. T's and Y's. All right, I hate T's. I never use them. I always use Y's. All right, why? Well, because it's a lot less restrictive. If my water is coming up this way, okay, it can go real easy, or it can go straight. All right, if I'm in a T, it can go straight easy, but if I have to go this way, it's hard to get that water to go out. Or if it's coming up this way and then has to go that way or this way, it can be very, very restrictive. All right, so Y's are awesome, all right, for that. Definitely really nice. Now on a Y, okay, these are not pressure fittings. So if I'm gluing hard pipe into here, great. If I'm gluing flex pipe into here, I'm going to be really careful, all right? In fact, I don't want to do it at all. I'm going to use a 2-inch coupling on here, a pressure coupling, and I'm going to then glue my flex pipe into that pressure coupling first, okay? All right, also we have reducing bushings, okay? This fitting right here is 1.5 inches inside to 2-inch outside. So where this works is I could have a 2.5 inch pipe coming into it, okay? And then I can put a 2-inch fitting out of it, okay? So reducing bushings are really great. Finally here we have unions. All right, so a union like this is something that can be unscrewed to disconnect things. So if your pumps, your UV lights or something don't have unions built into them, a lot of them do. The pumps and UV lights I use have these unions right here. They have a rubber O-ring inside. It's really important, don't lose these. And this fitting will basically screw right onto the front of and top of the pump or UV light, okay? And when I want to disconnect these things, if I'm closing up my ponds in the winter, I want to disconnect it, we just unscrew it and we can remove the pump right out of place. If it doesn't come with something like this, we need to buy them, okay? So we buy these couplings. And so we have the pipe coming out of here, say into the pump, and then this goes off to, you know, a suction strainer or something, right? So we can unscrew this and take it apart so that the pump can be disconnected. If it ever needs to be repaired or replaced, it's really easy to do. Again, it has that rubber O-ring inside, that black O-ring inside, okay? We need to keep that in here. If we don't have that, when we put these together, it's gonna leak like crazy, all right? So always make sure we have that rubber O-ring. Finally, ball valves, all right? You know, using ball valves to regulate water flow is great, you know, for waterfalls and stuff like that. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up my little lecture here on different types of fittings and PVC pipes. Now, I have some really good tips for you here, all right? Some really good tricks that it's gonna help you out a lot, all right? So first of all, okay, using primer on your fittings and on your pipes, okay? When we use primer, we can do something special with it and not just slop it on all around the edge of the pipe. Let's put it on the pipe at a certain depth, okay? Maybe, you know, 1 inch or so, inch and a half around that pipe and no more. All right, now the reason for that is when I take that pipe and I'm ready to glue it into my fittings, if I push that pipe into my fitting and that primer basically disappears into that fitting, I know that that pipe is deep into that socket, okay? This is really, really helpful, all right? if I put my primer on this much, up, from here to here, and I slide it in that fitting, I'm not sure how deep I just got that pipe in there. Is it all the way in there? I don't know. I can't gauge it, right? But if I put that primer on from here to here, all right, and I got about, inch and a half of primer here, and I stick it in that fitting, and that primer is practically gone, I know how far I'm in that fitting. So that's a really cool little trick to help you out. Now, in smaller pipes, it's not as much of an issue because you can easily, push that in and be nice and tight, okay? In larger pipes, 3-inch pipes, 4-inch pipes, 6-inch pipes, okay? It's hard sometimes to push that pipe all the way into the fitting. So we need to know how far we've got it in there and make sure that that pipe is glued and sealed in nice and tight, all right? Really important. Otherwise, we can leak, right? So you got a 4-inch pipe underneath a pond or so, underneath a waterfall or something, and that fitting isn't glued in all the way, and it's leaking, man, you got a big problem, all right? So that's a really great tip. Now, also, when we're gluing pipes into our fittings, okay, let's always, let me see. Let's always glue that pipe, set our primer here, prime the inside here, push our pipe all the way in so that primer disappears, and then give it like a quarter turn. And that quarter turn really locks it and smears that glue around the surface, all right? Now we got a really nice tight bond there, okay? So always kind of give that pipe a quarter turn. Again, smaller pipes, it's easy, but it's a good practice to get into. Larger pipes, 4-inch pipes, when I'm in a trench and I'm doing bottom drains and I have to push a 10-foot section of 4-inch pipe into a coupling or an elbow 10 feet away, sometimes it's a little hard to push it straight in. But if I get behind that pipe and I give it a turn, and it just goes right into that socket really nice, okay? So that's definitely another good little tip there for you. Now, if we have to do some crazy, fittings where we got to come in here and go up here and come over here and go up here, it's kind of hard to just do that on the fly. So we have to kind of set that all up without gluing it first, right? Put your pipe in over here, right? Get another elbow on over here. Bring this up to over here, and then get this all dry fit first, all right? Once we get that all dry fit, what's really nice to do, and I don't know if you can see this, but I'll show you up top. And I'm just gonna I forgot how I laid this out. I'll lay this out for you like this. Okay. I use a marker, and if you can see, I put arrows on each fitting, okay? So once this is all kind of dry fit, okay, I say dry fit, I mean no glue, okay? Just put all our pipes together to make it go where we want it to go. Without gluing it, I take a black marker and I, put arrows on it so I can see the direction of the water flow. So when I take all these little pieces apart, and I might have 7, 8 little pieces here, right? I know which one went where. You can even mark number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, okay? And then put it all back together and line up. Now you can glue it all together and line it all up and keep your arrows all perfectly aligned. So a straight line from an arrow here goes straight over that one, straight over here, straight down here. Now you're all lined up, because if you have it off like this, right, and we're not going to make our fittings proper, right? So we need to line that right up and twist it and turn it so all our things are straight, our arrows are straight. Also, you'll notice on some of these pipes there are little ridges, like little seams in the mold, okay? Especially on pipes, a lot of these pipes with the shorter couplings, there are little ridges around the pipe, around the socket. use those ridges to get your angles, right? Use those lines to say, okay, I align this one up here with the line on that one, okay? And it gives you your angles a lot sharper and more precise. Also, if you can see this PVC pipe has writing all down the side here, okay? Use it as a line. When you're gluing stuff together, you're going to glue it right down that writing, right? Just kind of helps you to make sure things are straight. One other little thing here now with this, when you're doing all your arrows and you're pre-fitting, you're pre-cutting all this stuff to fit in a dry run, always make it a little bit longer. Every fitting, everything has got to be a little bit longer, because when you are dry fitting these pipes, they're not all the way deep in their socket. If you put them all the way deep into the socket, it's really hard to take them apart, right? So you're kind of putting them in, and they're probably, halfway into that socket. So if you line everything up dry, and then when you go to glue it, and instead of everything being halfway in the socket, it goes fully into that socket, everything gets shorter, and now it's not going to fit. So make sure every little fitting that you're putting in, okay, size it a little bit larger, all right, so that once it's all glued, you're going to be at the exact size that you need, all right? Makes sense? Yeah, because once you set everything deeper into those sockets, everything gets shortened, all right? Okay, now cutting a pipe, all right? There's two different ways to cut it. We can use a Sawzall, something like this, right, to cut the pipe. Smaller pipe, 1.5 inches, 2 inch, yeah, absolutely. But a Sawzall comes really handy when we're cutting big pipe, 3 inch, 4 inch, 6 inch, okay? Much easier to use. Smaller pipes, we have an option. This is a pipe cutter. This will do up to 2 inch pipe. So anything, 3/4, 1 inch, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, 2 inch pipe, this works. And the way this works is this opens up like a big scissor, and you see the blade, all right? The pipe goes inside that blade, all right? And then we simply clamp it down, right? And it cuts. Do not put your finger inside that. I'm telling you, this thing can be razor sharp. If it is not razor sharp, okay, it puts a lot of pressure on the pipe, and the pipes could crack and break, all right? So make sure if you're using these, that blade is nice and sharp. This is nice and quick. The nice thing with this is it really makes a straight, clean cut, all right? But these things are really expensive, and unless you're using this stuff every day, I would say just use a Sawzall, all right? Hand saws work too, but you're going to sit there and go like this for 10 minutes, all right? So Sawzall cuts it right through. Okay. I think we covered a lot of material now. You're probably thoroughly confused. But I hope that it helped you out and at least gave you some ideas on how to use PVC pipes, the different types of fittings, and some of these tips here that I gave you at the end, as far as using that primer at a certain depth to sink into the socket, is really good. Drawing your arrows and doing like a dry run on your pipe first before you glue everything absolutely works. Okay, and finally, one last thing I just want to go over with you is to always think about, when doing pipes at different angles and things, which is the easier fitting to glue in? Is it easier to glue this into a pipe this way, or is it easier to glue this pipe up into here, right? So where do you want to glue this fitting on first? On the pipe coming in or onto this pipe, all right? I'm just using this as an example. Sometimes I'm using 4-inch PVC pipes to hook up a bottom drain in the bottom of a pond. And I'll have a pipe coming in the bottom here from the drain, okay? Then we're gonna go up in the side wall of the pond, and then we're gonna go straight out to our filter system, okay? And this is all 4-inch pipe, so it's pretty big and pretty heavy. It's easier sometimes to glue this fitting here onto this vertical pipe first, okay? And then it's easier when you have a pipe coming in here, it's easier to take this whole section and just push it straight in and glue it, okay? It's just boom, and it's done, all right? It's easier than gluing this pipe, this fitting onto this pipe, and then having to try to get this fitting to come up and fit inside, because as you're pushing this up, right, to tighten it in, you're pushing this whole other pipe up. You have no resistance. So it's easier to glue this on here and then come to your pipe and just go poof, and you're in, okay? So just something to think about, right? When you're putting all these crazy fittings and elbows together, you know, which is the easier way to glue? And it's easier to slip this fitting onto a pipe this way than it is to put this up into it, okay? And it works with all different things. Sometimes I have pipes coming out of my waterfalls, right? Let's say this is my waterfall, or let's say the waterfall is this way. My pipe feeding in is coming in like this, and the water comes out the pipe and down my waterfall. And I might have like a 90 on the back end coming down the back of the rocks, okay? Well, it's easier for me to glue this fitting onto a pipe coming up and just stick it in here, right? And it is to have this glued here and then try to jam a pipe up, because when I'm pushing up, you see what happens, right? So we want to glue it from the pipe onto here first down, and then just slide it on. Okay, so just something to think about. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up. We covered a lot of information here, right? We just talked about different types of fittings, different types of pipe, different types of glue, and a lot of tricks, right? And ways to do things to help make your job a little bit easier. One other thing that's really important that I just want to cover lastly real quick: when you're buying pumps and filters and UV lights, try to make sure that all the fittings on each one of those units is all the same, okay? So many times it just drives me crazy. Sometimes I go to somebody's house, they have a little sump pump that has 1.25 inch fitting on it, and for some reason they'll reduce it to like 1 inch, and they'll bring it up to a bead filter that's a 2-inch fitting, and they, you know, go from 1 inch into 2 inch and come out at 2 inch and go into a UV light that's 1.5 inches, and then come back to the pond at like 1 inch. It doesn't make sense. Don't do that. Don't ever restrict the size of the pipes that are, you know, if the pump is 2-inch pump, it's supposed to be 2 inch. Now, if it's a 2-inch pump and it's 7,000 gallons an hour, keep it 2 inches. If it's a 2-inch pump and it's maybe pumping 3,500, if you have to reduce it down to 1.5 inches someplace, you can. But don't go down to 1 inch. Don't go down to 3/4. Okay, try to keep everything the same size that you need. If you have a pump that's plump, you know, 2-inch fittings in and out, okay, try to get a UV light that has 2-inch fittings too. If you're using a UV light that has 1-inch fittings, it's probably too small and can't handle the volume that that pump is putting out. So you're either going to have to get a bigger UV light with the proper size fittings to accommodate the water flow, or you're going to have to Y it off and split the line and only run a portion of the water through that UV light, okay? It's just, you know, it drives me nuts when I go someplace and there's all different parts and all different size pipes and tubings coming through one system. You know, if you're going from 2 inch down to 1.5 inches, you're restricting that flow, all right? So always, you know, keep that in mind as well. Okay, so thanks for watching. I hope you know, it helped you out. I didn't confuse you too much. Please, you know, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I've got a ton of information here for you. But if you're gonna try to build your own pond and you're gonna be diving into some PVC, you know, hopefully this will help you out a little bit and give you some guidance and make your job a little easier. All right, so thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again in another video. Take care. Bye.